Nobody's ever gonna take your place. Yeah, I think we should meet in the middle. I follow you cause you're the light of the day. I need you like you need me, it's so simple. It's so simple.
Welcome back to the Gen X Juggler podcast. I'm so glad you're here. Just a reminder, this podcast is for entertainment and informational purposes only and should not be considered as professional advice in any field, including legal, medical, financial, or mental health. Well, friend, spring has sprung, and last week was my daughter's spring break. It was a welcomed respite from her busy high school schedule. We may have lost an hour of sleep during that week thanks to daylight savings time, but I also gained some valuable insight into the world of today's teenagers. I had the pleasure of spending last week with two teenage girls, my daughter Eiley and her best friend Haley. Sadly, Eiley had to leave Haley behind when we moved in 2023, and those girls miss each other a lot. So Haley usually comes to spend spring break with us. They get to enjoy a solid week of hanging out and being besties, and it works out well for me because having these girls together definitely adds to the fun in our house. Haley even enjoys watching Gen X movies. Eiley, I must say, enjoys it less, but she'll occasionally join me for a walk down memory lane. Eiley and I have a good relationship as mothers and teenage daughters go. I mean, if it weren't for my annoying habits, like chewing and breathing, it would be perfect. I don't take her moodiness or my ability to annoy her at the drop of a hat personally. I remember being 14. I definitely had the attitude and the moodiness that tends to go along with being a teenage girl. My dad used to say that raising a teenager is like watching Jeopardy every day. After a while, you start to think, maybe I really am stupid. But he has assured me that by the time she turns 21, I will be smart again. I'm looking forward to it. I do enjoy spending time with Eiley. So I was very pleased last month when she came home from school telling me that one of her friends had recently discovered an old movie. She loved it and thought Eiley would love it too. When Eiley came home that day asking if we could watch Dirty Dancing, I was stoked. I almost checked the calendar to see if it was my birthday or something. Obviously, I was all too happy to oblige her request. I must have watched that movie 50 times in junior high. It was a staple at every sleepover because, well, Patrick Swayze. I mean, come on. The way he danced, the way his accent fluctuated between a kind of New York accent and a Texas accent throughout the movie. Some may say he needed a little more time with the dialect coach, but for me, it only added to his charm. At one point in the movie, Eiley did say something that disturbed me. She said she doesn't think Patrick Swayze is all that good looking. I decided to chalk it up to that lack of brain development thing we often hear about in teenagers. But she did watch the whole movie and seemed to enjoy it. So all in all, it was a win. And during spring break, Haley was more than happy to watch Wayne's World with me, which meant Eiley watched it too. Score! Why do I care if Eiley watches the movies that were such a big part of my life when I was her age? Probably the same reason that my mom wanted me to watch My Fair Lady or Tammy and the Bachelor, movies I still love to this day. It opens the door for me to show her a moment in time that means so much to me and that she would otherwise never get to experience. Or maybe it's just my way of connecting 14-year-old me to 14-year-old her. I'm not sure, but I know I love sharing those little pieces of the past. Of course, watching Wayne's World with a couple of Gen Zers has its challenges. Wayne's World was very of the day. I had forgotten that Meatloaf played the doorman at the Gasworks, the club where Wayne and Garth hang out. When he came on the screen, I said, "Oh my goodness, that's Meatloaf." Eiley and Haley looked confused. I said, "You know, Meatloaf, the singer? He would do anything for love, but he won't do that." At this point, their confused silence turned to looks of concern for my mental health. So I decided to leave that one alone. Later, Wayne pulls up next to an old rich guy in a limo and encourages him to roll the window down. You know where this is going. The old rich guy lowers his window, then Wayne asks the only appropriate question at a time like this. Say it with me. "Pardon me, do you have any Grey Poupon?" I laughed. The girls were silent. When Wayne and Garth arrive in Milwaukee for the Alice Cooper concert and notice the Schatz Brewery, which of course leads them to reenact the opening of Laverne and Shirley, yet again I laughed. The girls said, "Alice Cooper? Who's she?" Oh no. After the movie, with a little help from YouTube, I took them on a deep dive to catch them up on the original sources of all those pop culture references. What kind of a mother would I be if I just left them in their ignorance? Since I had taken them on a Gen X extravaganza, I decided it was time for me to learn more about their generation, which is the later part of Gen Z, almost Gen Alpha. I started asking questions. First, I wanted clarification on the lingo. Gen X had words like awesome, rad, gnarly, totally, bad, for sure, and gag me, with or without a spoon. Today's kids have Sigma, Riz, Mogging, Eats, Delulu, Sus, and Ohio, to name a few. Confused? So was I. Let me get out my Gen Z to Gen X translator. Okay. If someone or something is Sigma, we would say it's choice, or maybe even bad. You know, the good kind of bad. Mogging is looking fly, fresh, or a combination thereof. If you happen to be mogging on someone, you're looking mega fly by comparison. Eats basically translates to slays. Delulu is what we would call mental. Ohio means weird, which ironically in and of itself is a little weird. And sus means sketchy. Last but certainly not least is Riz, short for charisma. If Gen Zers say you have mad Riz, they're telling you you've got serious game. I hope this helps. My new favorite Gen Z, Gen Alpha phrase the girls taught me is, put the fries in the bag, bro. This means quit stalling, get to it. I'm only halfway ashamed to say that I will be using that. My daughter will be so proud. There are a few crossover words, but the meaning has changed. Gag now means to shock or surprise, as in, that news gagged me, bruh, or I'm gagged, bruh. Everyone is bruh. That part is critical. I did notice that a common phrase that I had expected to hear, no cap, was missing from their list. When I inquired about this, I was told that no cap is basically out. That was fast. Our lingo seemed to last forever, with maybe a few additions like fly in the late 80s, early 90s, but I don't remember any subtractions. Gen X acquired our shared lingo from movies and television, but this is a different world, so I asked where they got their lingo. They said mostly from TikTok and memes. That's why it changes so quickly. There's always something new on the horizon with social media these days. We Gen Xers could easily find movies about us and go see them together and rent them and watch them over and over. I think this really helped to bond our generation. We had the top 40 songs that played over and over on our radio. Thank goodness, because we could count on our favorite song to roll back around in a short period of time, making sure we had our cassette players positioned in front of the speakers and were ready to hit record if we missed it the first time. In contrast, Gen Z has access to thousands and thousands of songs and genres at any given moment. There are songs that catch on, or portions of songs from TikTok, but not a select number of songs that clearly define their generation. Today's movies don't really speak to them directly, and TV and mainstream media certainly do not reflect the Gen Z or Gen Alpha experience. That's why Haley told me she enjoys our movies. Their generation will never have that. The girls told me that Gen Z and Gen Alpha can tailor their experiences very specifically. The algorithm dictates what they see. So gamers will mostly see stuff about gaming, while those who are into fashion will see mostly fashion trends. To us, their world seems so large due to the expanse of the internet and their ability to connect with people from around the world, but to them, it can almost feel limiting. Unless we make an effort to expose them to different ideas or different circumstances, Gen Z and Gen Alpha almost never have to see anything other than what they personally are into. In the same breath, the girls told me that the information they choose to engage with comes at them fast and then is quickly replaced by the next trend. This can lead to high levels of boredom at school or in any situations that just don't move at warp speed. This is not to say that we didn't have our own challenges with boredom at school and in general. This about sums it up.
Bueller.
But at least we had those movies and the very special episodes of our favorite television shows that we all watched. It let us know that someone, mainly John Hughes, understood our generation. But today's teens don't see themselves, their angst, their unique struggles depicted on the silver screen. And network TV isn't even a thing in their world. My conversation with the girls helped me realize that I need to have more patience with how they approach life. And when I see an opportunity to broaden their horizons, I need to meet them where they are, learning as I teach. Today's kids do not have brain rot, as they would say. They're just products of their time, as are we. Gen Z is very different from Gen X in a lot of ways. But they are fun, interested, and interesting human beings who can absolutely benefit from real conversations and time spent with us, and vice versa. This requires all of us to put down our phones and engage, something I can definitely get better at. Those of us who have a few little birdies who have already left the nest understand all too well that we don't get to have our teenagers forever, even though some days it may feel that way. The days may be long, but the years are getting shorter. When we take the time to ask our teenagers what they think, how they feel, or even which activities they would like to do together, and then act on that information, we stand a chance of creating Sigma connections with our kids. And who knows? We may even discover that we have mad riz along the way. That does it for this episode of the Gen X Juggler podcast. It's time for me to put the fries in the bag, bro. I look forward to our next time together. Until then, friend, let's keep on juggling.
Gonna take your place. Yeah, I think we should meet in the middle. I follow you 'cause you're the light of the day. I need you like you need me, it's so simple. It's so simple.